Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Amazing Sharks. Yep, we're back. Are you excited? Let's hear the excitement. Come on, you guys. So, today's shark is going to be the Thresher shark. They're large mackerel sharks of the family Alapidae, found in all temperate and tropical oceans of the world. The family contains three extant species, all within the genus Alipias. All three thresher shark species have been listed as vulnerable by the World Conservation Union since 2007. All three are popular big game sport fish, and additionally, they are hunted commercially for their meat, livers, skin, and fins. The shark liver is used to create shark liver oil, the skin is used for shagreen, and the fins are used in shark fin soup. Despite being active predatory fish, thresher sharks do not appear to be a threat to humans. How cool is that, you guys? Thresher sharks are by far my favorite shark. They are so amazing. All right, so the species of thresher shark, there was a possible existence of a hetero unrecognized fourth species that was revealed during the course of a 1995 allozyme analysis by Blaise Eitner. This species is apparently found in the eastern Pacific off Baja California and has previously been misidentified as the big eye thresher. So far, it is only known from muscle samples from one specimen, and no aspect of morphology has been documented. How cool is that? Based on cytochrome B genes, Martin and Naylor in 1997 concluded the thresher sharks form a monophyletic sister group to the clade containing the families Cetorhinidae, or the basking shark, and Lamnidae, the mackerel sharks. The megamouse shark was placed as the next closest relative to these sharks, although the phylogenetic position of that species has yet to be resolved with confidence. These sharks are sighted in shallow inshore waters, but they are primarily pelagic. They prefer the open ocean, characteristically preferring water 550 meters or 1,800 feet and less. Common threshers tend to be more prevalent in coastal waters over continental shelves. Common thresher sharks are found along the continental shelves of North America and Asia of the North Pacific, but are rare in the Central and Western Pacific. In the warmer waters of the Central and Western Pacific, big eye and pelagic thresher sharks are more common. The thresher shark was seen on live video feed from one of the ROVs monitoring BP's Macondo oil well blowout in the Gulf of Mexico. This is significantly deeper than the 1,600 foot previously thought to be their limit. A big eye has also been found in the Western Mediterranean, and so distribution may be wider than previously believed. Or environmental factors may be forcing the sharks to search for new territories. Named for their exceptionally long thresher-like heterocircle tail or caudal fins, which can be as long as the total body length, thresher sharks are active predators. The tail is used as a weapon to stun prey. The thresher shark has a short head and a cone-shaped nose. The mouth is generally small and the teeth range in size from small to large. By far the largest of the three species is the common thresher, which may reach a length of 20 feet and a mass of 1,100 pounds. The big eye thresher is next in size, reaching a length of 16 feet, and at 10 feet, the pelagic thresher is the smallest. Thresher sharks are fairly slender with small dorsal fins and large recurved pectoral fins. With the exception of the big eye thresher, these sharks have relatively small eyes positioned to the forward of the head. Coloration ranges from brownish, bluish, or purplish gray dorsally with lighter shades ventrally. The three species can be roughly distinguished by the primary color of the dorsal surface of the body. Common threshers are dark green, big eye threshers are brown, and pelagic threshers are generally blue. Lighting conditions and water clarity can affect how any one shark appears to an observer, but the color test is generally supported when other features are examined. The thresher shark mainly feeds on schooling pelagic fish such as bluefish, juvenile tuna, and mackerel, which they are known to follow into shallow waters, as well as squid and cuttlefish. Crustaceans and occasionally seabirds are also eaten. The thresher shark stuns its prey by using its elongated tail as a whipping weapon. Thresher sharks are solitary that keep to themselves. It is known that thresher populations off the Indian Ocean are separated by depth and space according to sex. Some species, however, do occasionally hunt in a group of 2 or 3, contrary to their solitary nature. All species are noted for their highly migratory or oceanodromous habits. When hunting schooling fish, thresher sharks are known to whip the water. The elongated tail is used to swat smaller fish, stunning them before feeding. Thresher sharks are one of the few shark species known to jump fully out of the water using their elongated tail to propel them out of the water, making turns like dolphins. This behavior is called breaching. 2 species of the thresher have been identified as having a modified circulatory system that acts as countercurrent heat exchanger, which allows them to retain metabolic heat. Mackerel sharks have a similar homologous structure to this, which is more extensively developed. The structure is a strip of red muscle along each of its flanks, which is a tight network of blood vessels that transfer metabolic heat inward towards the core of the shark, allowing it to maintain and regulate its body heat. No distinct breeding season is observed by thresher sharks. Fertilization and embryonic development occur internally. This oviviparous or live-bearing mode of reproduction results in a small litter, usually 2 to 4 of large, well-developed pups, up to 59 inches at birth in thin-tailed threshers. The young fish exhaust their yolk sacs while still inside the mother, at which time they begin feasting on the mother's unfertilized eggs, also known as oophagy. Thresher sharks are slow to mature. Males reach sexual maturity between 7 and 13 years of age, and females between 8 and 14 years in big-eye threshers. They may live for 20 years or more. In October 2013, the first picture of a thresher shark giving birth was taken off the coast of the Philippines. Thresher sharks are classified as prized game fish in the United States and South Africa. Common thresher sharks are the target of a popular recreational fishery off Baja, Mexico. Because of their low fecundity, thresher sharks are highly vulnerable to overfishing. All 3 thresher shark species have been listed as vulnerable to extinction by the World Conservation Union since 2007. And now we're going to go into a little more detail on the specific species of thresher sharks. All right, so we're going to start with the pelagic thresher. It's a species of thresher shark. The diet of the pelagic thresher consists mainly of small midwater fishes, which are stunned with whip-like strikes of its tail. Along with all other mackerel sharks, the pelagic thresher exhibits oviviparity and usually gives birth to litters of 2. The developing embryos are unusually large, up to 43% of the length of the mother. Pelagic threshers are valued by commercial fisheries for their meat, skin, liver oil, and fins, and are also pursued by sport fishers. The International Union for Conservation of Nature assessed the species as endangered in 2019. The pelagic thresher was originally described by the Japanese ichthyologist Hiroshi Nakamura on the basis of 3 large specimens, none of which has a designated holotype. He illustrated one of the 3 specimens on his paper on the 2 species of thresher shark from the Formesian waters, published in August of 1935. Nakamura also separately illustrated and described a fetus that Leonard Campagno later concluded was probably of a common thresher. Several authors, including Gohar and Mazar, Cato, Springer, and Wagner, Formanor and Laboute, Johnson, and Fognon, have published illustrations of common threshers that were in fact pelagic threshers. Due to the confusion with the common thresher, the distribution of pelagic thresher may be wider than is currently known. It ranges extensively in the Indo-Pacific, with scattered records from South Africa, the Red Sea, and the Arabian Sea, off Somalia, between Oman and India, and off Pakistan to China, southeastern Japan, northwestern Australia, New Caledonia, and Tahiti, to the Hawaiian Islands, California, and the Galapagos Islands. The North Pacific population shifts northward during warm El Nino years. Analysis of mitochondrial DNA has shown extensive gene flow within the eastern and western Pacific pelagic thresher populations, but little flow between them. The pelagic thresher primarily inhabits the open ocean, occurring from the surface to a depth of at least 490 feet. However, it occasionally comes close to shore in regions with a narrow continental shelf, and has been observed no coral reef drop-offs or seamounts in the Red Sea Sea and the Gulf of California and off Indonesia and Micronesia. It has been known to enter large lagoons off the Tuamotu Islands. I like that word, Tuamotu. The pelagic thresher is the smallest of the thresher sharks, typically 10 feet in length and 153.2 pounds in weight, and usually not exceeding 11 feet and 195 pounds. Male and females attain known maximum lengths of 11 feet and 12 feet, respectively. A record of 16 feet is dubious and may have resulted from confusion with other thresher species. This species has a fusiform body, wide in the middle and tapered at the ends, and a very slender upper caudal fin lobe nearly as long as the rest of the shark. The pectoral fins are long and straight with broad, rounded tips. The first dorsal fin is placed halfway between the pectoral and pelvic fins and is of comparable size to the pelvic fins. The second dorsal and anal fins are tiny. The head is narrow with a short conical snout and a distinctive pinched profile when viewed from below. The eyes are very large in juveniles and decrease in relative size with age. No furrows occur at the corners of the mouth. The teeth are very small, numbering 20 to 22 rows on each side with a central row in the upper jaw and 21 on each side without a central row in the lower jaw. 5 to 11 rows of posterior teeth are present. The teeth are smooth-edged with oblique cusps and lateral cusp splits on the outside margins. The body is covered with very small, smooth dermal denticles with flat crowns and cusps with parallel ridges. The coloration is an intense dark blue above and white below. The white does not extend above the pectoral fins. The color rapidly fades to gray after death. The dark pigment above the pectoral fins, the rounded pectoral fin tips, and the absence of labial furrows separate the shark from the common thresher. The pelagic thresher is an active, strong swimmer and has been known to leap clear of the water 5 times in a row on one documented occasion. Predators of the pelagic thresher include larger fishes, including other sharks and toothed whales. Known parasites of this species include tapeworms, which inhabit the shark's spiral valve intestine, and copepods, which infest the skin. At Malapascua Island in the Philippines, pelagic threshers have been observed regularly visiting cleaning stations occupied by cleaner wrasses, during which they exhibit characteristic behaviors to facilitate the cleaning interaction. These visits occur more frequently early in the morning and may be why these normally oceanic sharks are sometimes encountered in shallow water. Little information is available on the feeding ecology of the pelagic thresher. Its very slender tail and fine dentation suggest an exclusive diet of small pelagic prey. Analysis of stomach contents reveals that pelagic threshers feed mainly on barracudinas, light fishes, and escolars, all inhabitants of the mesopelagic zone. Therefore, little competition occurs between pelagic threshers and other large oceanic piscivores such as billfishes, tunas, and dolphin fishes, which tend to feed near the surface. As in other threshers, pelagic threshers may swim in circles to drive schooling prey into a compact mass before striking at them sharply with the upper lobe of their tails to stun them. Because of this behavior, pelagic threshers are often hooked on long lines by their tails. Like the rest of the mackerel sharks, the pelagic thresher is ovoviviparous. It gives birth to 2 pups at a time, 1 per uterus. With no defined breeding season, most adult females are pregnant throughout the year. The gestation period is uncertain, but it has been suggested to be less than 1 year, as in the common thresher. The developing embryos are sustained by a yolk sac until they are 4.7 inches long, after which they are oophagous and feed on the egg capsules produced by the mother. Each capsule measures 2.2 inches long and 0.5 inches across and contains 20 to 30 ova. Early stage embryos have specialized teeth for opening the capsules, while later stage embryos have their teeth hidden and swallow the capsules whole, their teeth not becoming functional again until just after birth. No evidence of sibling cannibalism has been found, as in the sand tiger shark. Young pelagic threshers are born unusually large, up to 5.2 feet long, or 43% the length of the mother, which likely reduces predation on newborns. Pelagic threshers' growth rate slows with age. For ages 0 to 1, they're 9 centimeters. Ages 2 to 3, 8 centimeters. Ages 5 to 6, 6 centimeters. Ages 7 to 10, 4 centimeters. Ages 10 to 12, 3 centimeters. And ages 13 and greater, 2 centimeters. Females reach maturity at 9.2 to 9.5 feet long and 8 to 9 years old, while males mature at 8.9 to 9.2 feet long and 7 to 8 years old. The oldest confirmed ages for female and males are 16 and 14 years, respectively. Extrapolating the growth curves to the largest known individuals suggests the females may have a lifespan exceeding 28 years and males 17 years. A single female produces about 40 young over her entire life. Anatomical examination indicates that the pelagic thresher is unlikely to be warm-bodied like the common thresher. It lacks a rete mirabile, a blood vessel concurrent exchange system that prevents metabolic heat from being dissipated into the water inside its trunk. Furthermore, its aerobatic red muscles responsible for generating heat in the common thresher are positioned in the two lateral strips just beneath the skin rather than at the core of the body. A rete system is present around the pelagic thresher's brain and eyes, albeit less developed than in the big-eye thresher, which may serve to buffer these organs against temperature changes. The pelagic thresher has never been implicated in an attack on humans. It has small jaws and teeth for its size and tends to flee from divers. This shark is taken by commercial fisheries in the Central Pacific and Western Indian Oceans, as well as off California and Mexico. Abundant in northeastern Taiwan, it comprises over 12% of the annual Taiwanese shark landings. The meat is sold for human consumption, the skin is made into leather, and the fins are used for shark fin soup in Asia. The squalene oil in the liver of the pelagic thresher can comprise 10% of its weight and is used in the manufacture of cosmetic, health foods, and high-grade machine oil. Though rarely caught, pelagic threshers are also valued by sport fishers and are listed as game fish by the International Game Fish Association. The largest overall records are from New Zealand, while the light tackle records are from California. Pelagic threshers are frequently taken as bycatch on longlines and in drift nets meant for other species such as tuna, and also rarely in gill nets and anti-shark nets. And that, my friends, is the pelagic thresher. Let's go on to the next one. All right, so our next thresher we're going to go over is the big-eye thresher. This thresher is, as always, a thresher shark that has virtually circumtropical distribution. In the western Atlantic Ocean, it has been reported from New York to Florida, the Caribbean, Venezuela, Tobago, the southern Brazil. In the eastern Atlantic, it is known from Portugal, Madeira, Senegal, Guinea, to Sierra Leone, Angola, and the Mediterranean Sea. In the western Indian Ocean, it occurs off South Africa, Madagascar, and the Arabian Sea. In the Pacific Ocean, it is known from southern Japan, Taiwan, New Caledonia, northwestern Australia, and New Zealand, and eastward to Hawaii, southern California, the Gulf of California, and the west of the Galapagos Islands. Analysis of mitochondrial DNA has shown that the Atlantic and Indo-Pacific populations are somewhat genetically divergent from each other. Big-eye threshers are usually found all over the continental shelf and in the open ocean, although they are occasionally encountered in shallow coastal water. They occur in surface temperatures of 61 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, but have been tracked as far down as 2,372 feet, where the temperature is only 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Little is known of their geographical movements. One individual has been documented moving from New York to the Gulf of Mexico, a straight line distance of 1,719 miles. The eyes of the big-eye thresher can measure up to 3.9 inches across in adults. Each eye is taller than wide with a bulbous upper portion. The orbits extend into the dorsal surface of the head, allowing the eyes to orient upwards. There are also a pair of distinct lateral grooves that extend from above the eyes to over the gill slits, giving it a helmet-like appearance. The snout is moderately long and bulbous, and there are no labial furrows at the corners of the mouth. The teeth are moderately large with a single narrow cusp. There are 19 to 24 teeth in the upper jaw and 20 to 24 teeth in the lower jaw. Their shapes are similar in both jaws. There are large and small dermal denticles, with the smaller ones more numerous and interspersed amongst the larger ones. The smaller denticles taper to a point. Up to half the body length is taken up by the upper lobe of the caudal fin, which is broader than other threshers. The large pectoral fins have a curved anterior margin and broad tips. The first dorsal fin is placed further back than in other thresher sharks, with free rear tip located above or just before the pelvic fins. Its coloration is a deep metallic violet to a purplish brown above and creamy white below. This color rapidly fades to a dull gray after death. Most big-eyed threshers are 10.8 to 13.1 feet long and weigh 350 pounds. The largest known big-eyed thresher measured 16 feet long and weighed 802 pounds and was caught near Tutakaka, New Zealand in February of 1981. The size and upward orientation of the big-eyed thresher's eyes are adapted to search for silhouettes of prey in dim light. This species is one of a handful of shark species that conducts a diet vertical migration, spending daytime in deeper water between 300 and 500 meters or 980 to 1,640 feet beneath the thermocline, where the temperature ranges from 43 to 51 degrees Fahrenheit. 54 degrees Fahrenheit, sorry about that, and ascending above it to water less than 330 feet deep during nighttime. This migration likely relates to finding prey at night and avoiding predators during the day. The shark's daytime swimming patterns are usually steady, while at night they have a pattern of slow ascents and rapid descents. Big-eyed threshers are likely preyed upon by larger sharks and marine mammals. Known parasites include the copiopods and tapeworms. Sea lampreys have been seen attached near the cloaca of the shark. The big-eyed thresher appears to be an ecological competitor of the blue shark, and the numbers of the two species are negatively correlated, such as that only one of the two occurs in any given location. The big-eyed thresher has larger teeth than other threshers and feeds on a wide variety of prey. Known food items include schooling forage fish such as mackerel and herring, benthic fishes such as hake and whiting, larger pelagic fishes such as lancetfish and small billfish, squids such as lycotithids and omostraphids, and possibly crab megalophae. They likely use their long tails to stun their prey to capture, as they are often found hooked by their tails on long lines and with the bait fish in their stomachs. The shape of their eye sockets give them binocular vision in an upward direction to better aim their strikes. In the Mediterranean, they are strongly associated with schools of frigate mackerel, suggesting that these sharks follow concentrations of their prey from place to place. It is said that the big-eyed thresher uses its long tail to smack down birds. Like other mackerel sharks, big-eyed threshers are ovoviviparous and bear litters of 2 pups, one in each uterus. Very rarely, the litter size may be 1, 3, or 4. There is no defined breeding season, and most adult females are pregnant throughout the year without any apparent lag time between pregnancies. The gestation period is unknown. The developing fetuses are initially nourished by a yolk sac and later exhibit oophagy, in which they consume infertile eggs produced by their mother, and possibly also uterine fluid. There is no evidence of sibling cannibalism. Unborn embryos are similar in appearance to adults, with proportionally larger heads and eyes. They are covered with a thin layer of epithelium that prevents the uterine wall from being abraded by the embryo's shark dermal denticles. This has not been observed in the young of the other thresher sharks. The young measure 4.4 to 4.6 feet long at birth. Males mature at a length of 8.9 to 9.5 feet and at an age of 9 to 10 years, while females mature at a length of around 11 to 12 feet and at an age of 12 to 14 years. The maximum lifespan of this species is believed to be 19 years for a male and 20 years for a female. A female big-eyed thresher is estimated to produce only 20 young over her entire lifetime. There is conflicting evidence on whether the big-eyed thresher is warm-bodied like the common thresher. They have done several studies on it to figure out there's no blood vessel counter-current exchange system in the trunk to limit the loss of metabolic heat in the water. They're unsure. It does have a highly developed retain system around its brain and eyes. This is thought to function in buffering the sensitive organs against temperature changes during the shark's daily migrations up and down the water column. The big-eyed thresher shark is rarely encountered by divers underwater and poses no danger. The species is or was taken by longline fisheries operated by many countries, including the United States, Japan, Spain, Brazil, Uruguay, and Mexico, and constitutes about 10% of the pelagic shark catch. The big-eyed thresher comprises 20% of the longline catch off Cuba, where it is attracted at night using Kilome sticks or chemical lights. It is also significant to Taiwanese fisheries, which land about 220 metric tons annually. The meat is marketed fresh, smoked, or dried and salted, though it is not highly regarded due to its mushy texture. The skin is used to make leather products, the liver oil for vitamins, and the fins for shark fin soup. In the waters of the United States, this species is considered a nuisance bycatch of longlines, gill nets, and trawls. It is occasionally caught in shark nets around beaches in South Africa. Along with other thresher species, it is listed as a game fish by the International Game Fish Association and is pursued by recreational anglers off the United States, South Africa, and New Zealand. The big-eyed thresher is highly susceptible to overexploitation due to its low lifetime fecundity. All three thresher shark specimens were assessed as vulnerable by the International Union for Conservation of Nature in 2007. In New Zealand, the Department of Conservation has classified the big-eyed thresher shark as not threatened under the New Zealand Threat Classification System. And last but not least, we have the common thresher. The common thresher is also known as the Atlantic thresher, and it's the largest species of thresher shark, reaching some 20 foot in length. The common thresher is a fairly robust shark with a torpedo-shaped trunk and a short, broad head. The dorsal profile of the head curves evenly down to the pointed conical snout. The eyes are moderately large and lack nictitating membranes. The small mouth is arched and, unlike in other thresher sharks, has furrows at the corners. The species has 32 to 53 upper and 25 to 50 lower tooth rows. The teeth are small, triangular, and smooth edged, lacking lateral cusplets. The 5 pairs of gill slits are short, and the 4th and 5th pairs located over the pectoral fin bases. The long, falcate or sickle-shaped pectoral fins taper to narrowly pointed tips. The first dorsal fin is tall and positioned slightly closer to the pectoral fins than the pelvic fins. The pelvic fins are almost as large as the first dorsal fin and bear long, thin claspers in males. The second dorsal and anal fins are tiny, with the former positioned ahead of the latter. Crescent-shaped notches occur on the caudal peduncle at the upper and lower origins of the caudal fin. The upper caudal fin lobe is enormously elongated, as is characteristic of threshers, measuring about as long as the rest of the shark. The thin, gently curving lobe is held at a steep upward angle and has a notch in the trailing margin near the tip. The skin is covered by small, overlapping dermal denticles, each with 3 horizontal ridges and 3 to 5 marginal teeth. This species is metallic purplish brown to gray above, becoming more bluish on the flanks. The underside is white, which extends over the pectoral and pelvic fin bases. The pattern is a contrast to the pelagic thresher, which is solidly colored over these fins. The median line between the dorsal and ventral coloration is often irregular. A white spot may be seen at the tips of the pectoral fins. The common thresher is the largest thresher shark species, commonly reaching 16 feet long and 510 pounds in weight. The confirmed length record for this shark is 19 feet, while the maximum possible length may be 20 to 21 feet. The heaviest individual on record is a 16-foot female that weighed 1,120 pounds. Exceptional specimens may possibly weigh up to 2,000 pounds, though such claims are not verified yet. The range of the common thresher encompasses tropical and cold temperate waters worldwide. In the western Atlantic, it is found from Newfoundland to the Gulf of Mexico, though it is rare north of New England and from Venezuela to Argentina. In the eastern Atlantic, it has been reported from the North Sea and the British Isles to Ghana, including Madeira, the Azores, and the Mediterranean and Black Seas, as well as from Angola to South Africa. In the Indo-Pacific, the species is known from Tanzania to India and the Maldives, Japan, and Korea to southeastern China, Sumatra, eastern Australia, and New Zealand. It also occurs around a number of Pacific islands, including New Caledonia, the Society Islands, Tabaran, and the Hawaiian Islands. In the eastern Pacific, it has been recorded from British Columbia to Chile, including the Gulf of California. The common thresher is migratory, moving to higher latitudes following warm water masses. In the eastern Pacific, males travel further than females, reaching as far as Vancouver Island in the late summer and early fall. Juveniles tend to remain in warm nursery areas. In New Zealand, juveniles can be found over the inner shelf around the North Island and around the upper South Island. separate populations with different life history characteristics apparently exist in the eastern Pacific and western Indian Ocean and possibly elsewhere. This species is not known to make transoceanic movements. In the northwestern Indian Ocean, males and females segregate by location and depth during the pupping season from January to May. Analysis of mitochondrial DNA has revealed substantial regional genetic variation within common threshers in all three oceans. This could support the idea that sharks from different areas, despite being highly mobile, rarely interbreed. Common threshers are inhabitants of both continental waters and open ocean. They tend to be the most abundant in proximity to the land, particularly the juveniles, which frequent near coastal habitats such as bays. The species has been described as coastal oceanic, mostly occurring within 20 miles of the coast, with considerably lower populations beyond this limit. Most individuals are encountered near the surface, but this species has been recorded to at least a depth of 1,800 feet. Among 8 individuals tagged and tracked for 20 to 49 hours off Southern California, all spent the majority of their time within 130 feet of the water surface, but periodically dived much deeper, and 5 individuals to depths of around 330 feet or more. A study from the tropical Marshall Islands indicated that common threshers mainly spend the day at depths of around 520 to 790 feet, where the temperature is 64 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Common threshers appear to prefer water temperatures between 61 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but at least occasionally occur down to around 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Common threshers are active, strong swimmers, with frequent reports of them leaping completely out of the water. Like the fast-swimming sharks of the family Lamnidae, the common thresher has a strip of aerobatic red muscle along its flank that is able to contrast powerfully and efficiently for long periods of time. In addition, they have slow oxidative muscles centrally located within their bodies and a blood vessel countercurrent exchange system called the Rete Mirabelle or wonderful net, allowing them to generate and retain body heat. The temperature inside the red muscle of a common thresher averages 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit above that than the ambient seawater, though significant individual variation is seen. Unlike the pelagic and big-eyed threshers, the common thresher lacks an orbital rete mirabelle to protect its eyes and brain from temperature changes. Immature common threshers fall prey to larger sharks, aside from observations of killer whales feeding on common threshers off New Zealand. Adults have no natural predators. Parasites documented from the common thresher include protozoan, tremolodes, tapeworms, and copiopods. The long upper tail fin lobe of the common thresher is used to strike and incapacitate prey. Some 97% of the common thresher's diet is composed of bony fishes, mostly small schooling forage fish such as sardine, anchovy, mackerel, hake, bluefish, herring, needlefish, and lanternfish. Before striking, the sharks compact schools of prey by swimming around them and splashing the water with their tails, often in pairs or small groups. Threshers are also known to take. Ooh, I lost my place here. Hold on. Threshers are also known to take large solitary fishes such as lancetfish, as well as squid and other pelagic invertebrates. Pacific hake, Pacific sardine, Pacific mackerel, market squid, and pelagic red crab also being important food items. The sharks concentrate on a few prey species during cold water years, but become less discriminating during less productive, warmer El Nino periods. Numerous accounts have been given of common threshers using the long upper lobes of their tail fins to stun prey, and they are often snagged on longlines by their tails after presumably striking at bait. In July of 1914, shark watcher Russell J. Coles reported seeing a thresher shark use its tail to flip prey fish into its mouth, and that one fish that was missed was thrown a considerable distance. On April 14, 1923, noted oceanographer W.E. Allen observed a 6.6-foot thresher shark pursuing a California smelt off a pier at the Scripps Institution of Oceanography. The shark overtook the small fish and swung its tail above the water like a coach whip, with confusing speed, severely injuring its target. In the winter of 1865, Irish ichthyologist Harry Blake Knox claimed to have seen a thresher shark in Dublin Bay use its tail to strike a wounded loon, which is then swallowed. Blake Knox's account was subsequently disputed by other authorities, who asserted that the thresher's tail is not rigid or muscular enough to effect such a blow. Like other mackerel sharks, common threshers are aplacental viviparous. They give birth to litters of 2 to 4 pups in the eastern Pacific and 3 to 7 pups in the eastern Atlantic. They are believed to reproduce throughout their range. One known nursery area is the Southern California bite breeding, occurs in the summer, usually July or August, and parturition occurs from March to June, following a gestation period of 9 months. The developing embryos are oophagous, feeding on the eggs ovulated by the mother. The teeth of the small embryos are peg-like and non-functional, being covered by a sheath of soft tissues. As the embryos mature, their series of teeth become progressively more like those of adults in shape, though they remain depressed and hidden until shortly before birth. Newborn pups usually measure 3.74 to 5.25 feet long and weigh 11 to 13 pounds, depending on the size of the mother. The juveniles grow to about 1.6 foot a year, while adults grow 0.33 feet a year. The size at maturation appears to vary between populations. In the eastern North Pacific, males mature at 11 feet and 5 years old, and females at around 8.5 to 14.8 feet and 7 years old. They are known to live at least 15 years, and their maximum lifespan has been estimated to be 45 to 50 years. While any large shark is capable of inflicting injury and thus merits respect, the common thresher poses little danger to humans. Most divers report that they are shy and difficult to approach in underwater. The International Shark Attack File lists a single provoked attack by the thresher shark and 4 attacks on boats, which were probably incidental from individuals fighting capture. The common thresher is widely caught offshore longline and pelagic gill net fisheries, especially in the northwestern Indian Ocean, the western, central, and eastern Pacific, and the North Atlantic. Participating countries include the former USSR, Japan, Taiwan, Spain, the United States, Brazil, Uruguay, and Mexico. The meat is highly prized for human consumption, cooked, dried, and salted or smoked. In addition, their skin is made into leather, their liver oil is processed for vitamins, and their fins are used for shark fin soup. The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization reported a worldwide common thresher take of 411 metric tons in 2006. In the United States, a drift gillnet fishery for the common thresher developed in Southern California in 1977, beginning with 10 vessels experimenting with a larger size mesh. Within 2 years, the fleet had increased to 40 vessels, and the fishery peaked in 1982 when 228 vessels landed 1,091 metric tons. The common thresher population rapidly collapsed from overfishing, with landings decreasing to less than 300 metric tons a year by the late 1980s, and larger size classes disappearing from the population. Common threshers are still taken commercially in the United States, with about 85% coming from the Pacific and 15% from the Atlantic. The largest catches remain from the California-Oregon gillnet fishery, which had shifted its focus to more valuable swordfish, but still takes threshers as bycatch. Small numbers of Pacific threshers are also taken by harpoons, small mesh, drift nets, and long lines. In the Atlantic, threshers are primarily taken on long lines meant for swordfish and tuna. Common threshers are well regarded by sports fishers as one of the strongest fighting sharks alongside the shortfin mako shark, and are ranked as game fish by the International Game Fish Association. They are pursued by anglers using rod and reel off California, South Africa, and elsewhere. Frank Mundus has called thresher sharks exceedingly stubborn and pound for pound a harder fish to whip than the mako. Fishing for common threshers is similar to that of the mako. The recommended equipment is a 53-pound rod and a big game reel holding at least 400 yards of 53-pound line. The ideal method is trolling with bait fish, either deep or allowing it to drift. All 3 thresher sharks were reassessed from the data deficient to vulnerable by the International Union for Conservation of Nature in 2007. The rapid collapse of the California subpopulation, over 50% within 3 generations, prompted concerns regarding the species' susceptibility to overfishing in other areas, where fishery data are seldom reported and aspects of life history and population structure are little known. In addition to continued fishing pressure, common threshers are also taken as bycatch in other gear such as bottom trawls and fish traps, and are considered a nuisance by mackerel fishers as they become entangled in the nets. The United States manages common thresher fisheries by regulations such as commercial quotas and trip limits, and recreational minimum sizes and retention limits. Shark finning is illegal under U.S. federal law. The Atlantic common thresher fishery is regulated by the National Marine Fisheries Services Highly Migratory Species Management Division through the 2006 Consolidated Atlantic Highly Migratory Species Fishery Management Plan, and the Pacific Common Thresher fishery is regulated by the Pacific Fishery Management Council through the FMP for U.S. West Coast fisheries for highly migratory species. In the 1990s, after the depletion of common thresher stocks by the California gillnet fishery, the fleet was limited to 70 boats and restrictions were placed on season, operation range, and landing. Some evidence shows that California's subpopulation is recovering, and the potential population growth has been estimated to be 4 to 7% per year. In New Zealand, the Department of Conservation has classified the common thresher as not threatened under the New Zealand Threat Classification System. And that, my friends, is thresher sharks. So remember, if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, save, share, etc., etc. I hope y'all had a great time learning about threshers. And remember, if you want to learn about a specific shark or shark subject, leave a comment. I promise I'll make you your video. All right, have a great day. We'll see you next week for our next amazing shark.